The Temple men's are looking to repeat some of that same magic that they had in the AAC tournament last year, and it starts here tonight against the 10-seeded Tulsa, and the Owls enter this tournament as the 7 seed. James Urban and Zach Silverstein here for you on the call on WHIP Radio. Zach, it's a terrific night for the Owls to get their postseason started, and they have an opportunity against Tulsa.
Yeah, and it's definitely going to be a tough one without Jamal Mashburn Jr., their best player, one of the best scorers in the entire country, averaging 22 points per game. He hurt his foot about a month ago, and a month and a half ago, and hasn't played in a while. The one game he did play after the injury was against Tulsa. He didn't play great, and Temple ended up losing that game. And then right after that, Temple decided to shut him down. They've been saying he's day-to-day, but had a boot on today and will not suit up. So it's going to be a tough one, but Zion Stanford's averaging 20 points per game over the last 3 games, and Temple's won all 3.
No Jamal Mashburn Jr., the transfer from New Mexico, and some breaking news. We see Quante Berry in street clothes. The Owls are going to be without Quante Berry tonight against Tulsa. That's something that we weren't expecting, Zach.
No, I mean, when you're coming into a game expecting to have everybody except for Mashburn Jr., and then Quante Berry, one of your major pieces, goes down, it definitely throws a wrench in things because you have no time to prepare for it. So definitely going to be interesting to see who steps up in his role and how Temple fares when they're out on the court.
The starting lineup for Temple will be Zion Stanford, Aiden Tobias, Matteo Picarelli, Steve Settle, and Babatunde Duradola. The starters for Tulsa will be Keaston Willis, Dwan Odom, Braden Carrington, Isaiah Barnes, and Ian Smeichel. Coming into this game today, Temple had a 17-14 regular season, and they finished 9-9, 500 in AAC play, which put them, of course, at the 7 seed. And Tulsa went 12-19 and 6-12 in conference play. These two teams are led by Eric Kunkel in his 3rd season for Tulsa, and head coach Adam Fisher in his 2nd year for Temple. And Zach, obviously, we all know this Temple team and head coach Adam Fisher's first year, his first time in the AAC tournament, they won 4 games in 4 days, played 5 games in 5 days, and lost that championship game against UAB. How can they repeat that same magic that they had last year?
Yeah, I mean, that Temple team from last year that you're talking about lost 10 straight conference games at one point. Went into the tournament with really nobody thought that they were going to be able to win anything. Thought maybe they'd pick up 1 win, and then they did, and then it just kept on rolling and rolling, and they were able to make it to the championship game, 1 win away from March Madness. So anything's possible. I think this team, is in a better position than last year. Yes, they are down Mashburn, but I think they have guys that have been there and done that. You have guys in Steve Settle and Shane Dezzoni and Zion Stanford who were part of the team last year, and nobody takes to get to that championship game.
Zion Stanford has been leading the way for Temple in their 3-game winning streak entering the postseason tournament, averaging 20 points per game in the last 3 games. And Zach, he hit that buzzer beater game winner against South Florida 3 games ago, which kind of feels like that sparked that win streak.
Yeah, I mean, before that, Temple was in a really tough slide there. And really, Zion Stanford, he went up for a shot, got it blocked, got it back, and then threw it up right at the buzzer, and it happened to go in. And sometimes all it takes is 1 shot, 1 win, to get your team rolling. To win like that on your home court, finish the year 11-2 at the Lee Core Center is really big for Temple.
Starting lineups announced, and we're just a few moments away from Temple kicking off their postseason here in Fort Worth, Texas at Dickies Arena. The lights have turned on. Tulsa heading to midcourt. Temple ready to break their huddle and get this thing started. We also talked about Steve Settle, a guy who was a major part of their tournament run last year. He led the team with 15 points in the season finale victory at home against North Texas, which was a very impressive win heading into the tournament.
Yeah, I mean, you have a game against North Texas, once again, without your best player. You go into it on your home court, and on senior day, you know Steve Settle wanted that one for not only him, but for the 4 other seniors out there as well. And he really stepped up in a major way, finishing 12-2 at home, not 11-2, excuse me.
Steve Settle, been a solid piece, a consistent piece for head coach Adam Fisher with a roster that has been in and out, up and down all season. This team endured a 6-game losing streak during conference play, but since that last sixth loss. They have won 3 straight against South Florida, Tulsa, and then North Texas to end the season.
And for Adam Fisher, if there's one constant, it's Steve Settle III. He's always out there. He's playing in his 31st game of the season. Seems like if nobody else is out there, Steve Settle is always the one that's suiting up, and he's out there. And we get to see him for the 31st time this season, playing in his 6th season of collegiate basketball.
Getting ready to start things off here in Fort Worth. Once again, James Urban and Zach Silverstein here for you on the call on WHIP Radio. Temple going left to right from our viewpoint, and Tulsa going right to left towards us. We are here on the sideline. Temple wearing all white and Tulsa wearing all blue. The Golden Hurricane win the tip and start things off. Number 11, Isaiah Barnes, guarded heavily by Zion Stanford to start this thing off, and Keaston Willis takes on Matteo Piccarelli. Tries to step through, Matteo stays on him, and Willis has to kick it back out. 5 seconds left on the shot clock. Schmeichel down low on Settle, and he puts it up and in.
See, and one thing about Piccarelli for Temple, he's known for his shooting, really struggled on the defensive end this season. So if I'm Tulsa, I'm looking to attack him every single trip down the floor.
Schmeichel gets deep into the paint, and it's an easy hook shot over Steve to start this one off. 2-0 Tulsa. Duradola down low, and it looks like he wrapped his elbow around Schmeichel, and that's going to be a quick personal foul for Babatunde Duradola, and that's been a storyline for him all season, is that foul trouble, Zach.
There's been many games this season where he's in foul trouble. We'll pick up his 4th foul. Of course, in college, once you get 5 fouls, you are fouled out of the game. Puts Adam Fisher in a tough spot where he's got to put him on the bench, and then he's got to try to find a replacement coming off the bench to add a spark.
Elijah Gray looking like he will be the first guy off the bench, and he may have to be ready soon after that early Duradola foul. Odom being guarded by Tobiasen. The pull-up J by Barnes off the mark, and it's a rebound by Schmeichel. And that's going to be an early 2 on Duradola, and that's going to send Elijah Gray to the scorer's table. So right when we mentioned the offensive foul by Duradola, that is his 2nd right away, and we are only a minute and 16 seconds into the game.
See, in that matchup down there with Schmeichel and Duradola, they're both 6'8", but you can tell that Schmeichel has much more size to him, and he's able to bully Duradola down low and force him into a 2nd foul.
Juwan Odom dishing down low to Schmeichel, and he gets rejected by Stanford. Up the floor to Steve Settle in transition. The layup is up and in. The lanky 6'10" Settle with the nice finish in transition.
And that right there was perfect defense at the rim by Zion Stanford, going straight up, keeping his hands up, not trying to go for the block, but just keeping his hands up and forcing the turnover there.
It's 2-2, 18:20 to play here in the first half. Keaston Willis has in Tobiasen jumping. The floater by Willis is up, no good, and rebounded by Tobiasen. You see those long arms from Tobiasen,
Yeah,
Zach.
Tobiasen, he bid for the pump fake, but like you said, his long arms allowed him to recover.
Zion Stanford on the right wing. Once again, he's been leading the way for Temple, averaging 20 points per game in the last 3. Matteo Piccarelli through the lane. His layup is up off the backboard, no rim, rebounded by Juwan Odom. Into the corner, Isaiah Barnes for Tulsa. His 3-pointer up, no good, rebounded by Steve Settle, and he decides to push. Settle out to the corner, Matteo Piccarelli, his transition 3 is up and good, and Zach, that Piccarelli 3 is huge for Temple.
That right there is exactly why Matteo Piccarelli is on the court. Spotting up in the corner, let it fly, no hesitation. Temple now leads 5-2.
What a play from Steve Settle, getting that rebound, pushing the floor, keeping his head up, and finding Piccarelli. But on the other end, it's a backdoor lob from Odom to Barnes. What a finish, what a dunk.
Bit of a defensive breakdown there for the Owls, allowing the wide open alley-oop dunk. Just some miscommunication down low, resulting in the easy dunk.
And it's 5-4, an early 1-point lead for Temple in this first half. 17 minutes to play. Elijah Gray turns it over, he gets it poked away. Willis in transition, but decides to slow it down. He's guarded by Piccarelli, uses a screen from Schmeichel, swings it. Tulsa's 3 from the right wing, no good, and a great rebound by Elijah Gray. That 3-pointer was no good. That was Braden Carrington, the junior guard from Brooklyn Park, Minnesota. Tulsa 0 from 3 so far. 16:20 to play. Zion Stanford lets a 3 fly, and it's up and in. Zion Stanford from the left wing Shoots a three-pointer, it hits the rim 4 times and goes in. 8-4 Temple, 16 minutes to play.
Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. Zion Stanford, a prime example right there.
Keaston Willis ripping off screens. Matteo Piccarelli going over. Willis through the lane, and that is a pretty floater with a lot of defenders around him.
You can definitely tell that Willis is kind of baiting Matteo Piccarelli a little bit, keeping him on his back hip, knowing that he's not the best defender, and using that to his advantage.
Keaston Willis really leading the offense for Tulsa here, averaging 13 points per game this season. He's the 6th-year guard, started at Incarnate Word, Louisiana Tech, and now in his 2nd season here at Tulsa. It's 8-6 Temple. 15:30 to play. Great defense by Steve Settle, and he steals it away. Has numbers. Kicks it out. It's Aiden Tobiasen in the corner, and that's a pretty three-point make for the freshman from Wilmington, Delaware. 11-6 Temple. 15 to play in the first half.
And Temple has Steve Settle essentially running the offense. How many times you see a 6'10 guy going coast to coast and finding the open shooter? Did it to Piccarelli and just did it to Tobiasen a couple seconds ago.
And Temple is a perfect 3 of 3 from three-point land. 100%. Zion, Matteo, and Aiden all with a 3. Jacking it up is Keaston Willis, no good. And once again, Steve Settle with the rebound and numbers in transition. The layup is no good by Elijah Gray and rebounded by Dwan Odom. Momentum in Temple's favor, so Tulsa decides to slow it down. Point guard Dwan Odom guarded at the top of the key by Zion Stanford, and he dishes it down low to Ian Smichael, and that one was just too easy, Zach.
Yeah, I mean, that's the second time about that they've run that little pick and roll with Smichael. Wide open down there, and if Elijah Gray is not in the post, it's going to be an easy layup or dunk for Smichael every single trip down the floor.
And we're more than 5 minutes through without our first media timeout. 14-10 to play in the first half, 11-6 Temple. Down low, Elijah Gray, and he gets fouled, and that will bring us to our first media timeout. Temple with a 5-point lead. James Urban, Zach Silverstein here. We'll be right back on WHIP. Back from the first media timeout, it's 11-8. Temple with a 3-point lead. James Urban and Zach Silverstein here for you on the call on WHIP Radio. And Zach, Temple, 3 of 3 from three-point land, 4 of 7 from the field. What are you liking from their offense?
Yeah, I mean, one thing I really like is that Steve Settle's taking complete control. I said earlier, it's not often you see a 6'10 guy grabbing rebounds, going coast to coast and finding the wide open shooters, but those wide open passes by Settle are leading to open shots. And right now, 3 for 3 from beyond the arc. And Temple working really quick. And I know that Duradola got into foul trouble, but that matchup down there with Gray and Schmeichel is a lot better for Temple than it would be with Duradola and Schmeichel so far.
What sent us into the media timeout was a shooting foul. Elijah Gray got sent to the line, and he goes 1 for 2 on that trip. But an offensive rebound off the miss by Zion Stanford. Elijah Gray's 3 from straight ahead, no good. But that's a good sign. Elijah Gray starting aggressive.
Yeah, I mean, Gray right there was wide open. You'll take that shot every single time.
That's Temple's first 3-point miss, 3 of 4. 12-8, Temple with a 4-point lead. A corner 3 from Dewan Odom, no good. Rebound on the left block is Zion Stanford, keeping his head up. Giving it to Steve Settle. Settle losing his dribble off his own foot, and that's going to be a turnover. Back to the Golden Hurricane. And now would you look at this, Zach? The freshman, Dylan Batty, coming in for Steve Settle, the freshman getting some minutes.
Yeah, I mean, this right now is only the 20th appearance for Batty this season. He started out the season playing a lot. I mean, he got a lot of big minutes the first 6 or 7 games of the year. Then Tobiasen came in, jumped into that role, and now Batty getting the trust here.
And Batty, ultra-talented freshman,
yes,
back in his home state of Texas.
Very athletic. Can jump out of the gym. Can Batty.
Batty, the freshman from Dallas, not too far away from where we are in Fort Worth. But a foul there on Batty, and that's going to send number 15, Garcia. Jared Garcia, the 5th-year forward from Houston, Texas. Started in the AAC at Charlotte. Did 1 year of community college, and now in his 2nd year at Tulsa, he knocks down the first free throw, making it 12-9.
So now, if there's one thing I don't like from Temple's defense so far, they're true freshmen getting into a lot of foul trouble. Babatunde Duradola, 2 fouls in about a minute. Then Dylan Batty comes in, maybe 10 to 15 seconds with him on the court. He picks up his first foul as well. Jared
Garcia knocks down both free throws, making it a 2-point game. Temple in front, 12-2, 13-15 to play. The 5 now out for Temple are Shane Dezzoni, Matteo Piccarelli, Zion Stanford, Dylan Batty, and Elijah Gray. So a little bit of a different 5 out there for the Owls right now.
Yeah, it's not the 5 that you came into the season thinking you were going to have in a big game like this, but Adam Fisher doing what he has to do. Shane Dezzoni's been very good for the Owls, though, this season.
Shane Dezzoni, a guy who's kind of done all the dirty work for Temple this year. And he was also a major part of the AAC tournament run last year.
And when last season started, Shane Dezzoni was a guy that really didn't get many minutes. He started to play because of some injuries there. And then all of a sudden, he really started to fit into that role. And now he's been a major part of the Temple team this year. And he's the guy that's going to scrap and get you a bunch of rebounds, especially on just all over the place. When you need a second chance opportunity, Shane Dezzoni's going to get it for you.
Elijah Gray at the top of the key. Almost turns it over, gets it back. Lots of contact, up and in, Elijah Gray. The transfer from Fordham. He's been finding his way on this Temple team throughout the year, but it seems like he's really solidified a role now on this team.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like for the first couple months, he was really trying to find his role, and he looked just not comfortable at times, but during this time where Jamal Mashburn Jr. has been out, he's really started to fit in there seamlessly, and I mean, he's having a really good game so far in this one. 3 points, looking to make it 4.
Elijah Gray trying to get the 3-point play to go, and he leaves it short. Almost an offensive rebound by Dylan Batty, but Tulsa ends up with it.
And the free throw shooting has been a problem for Temple all season. So far in this game, too, they're 1 for 3 from the line.
Bringing it up the court is Josiah McWright, 6'4" guard from Houston. Out to Keaston Willis. Willis guarded by Tobiasen. Through the lane, no good. Keaston Willis has just 2 points, 1 for 4 from shooting. Shane Dezzoni kicking it to Zion Stanford. Through the lane, pump faking. And it's going to be off of Zion Stanford. And Zach, that's sometimes the kryptonite for Zion, is holding on to the ball too long and over dribbling.
Yeah, I mean, the strength for Zion Stanford is not making his defender uncomfortable off the dribble. He's a guy that can bully you down low. He may spot up from time to time, but just doing way too much there. And he had Shane Dezzoni open on that right wing.
Under the 12-minute mark here in Fort Worth, Temple up 14-10 here in the second round of the AAC tournament. Down low, Jared Garcia just bully ball on Elijah Gray.
He's just too big.
And a great left-handed hook from Garcia. Makes it a 2-point game, 14-12, 11:30 to go. Zion Stanford brings it up the court as Mo Keita approaches the scores table for Temple. Over to Shane Dezzoni on the right wing. His pull-up jumper at the right elbow is up and pure. The two-dribble pull-up J is good for Dezzoni.
Perfect jab step there by Dezzoni to shake his defender free and finish it off with the mid-range.
Tyshawn Archie, his left-handed layup, no good. Rebounded by Stanford. Stanford a 1-on-4 for Temple. He decides to slow it down, and he takes on Josiah McWright. Gets double-teamed. Archie comes over. A swing for Temple. Zion Stanford. Dylan Batty loses it. Ball is lost, and Tulsa comes away with it. In transition, the Golden Hurricane. Slowing it down is Tyshawn Archie. Down low, Garcia kicks it to Amadi. His layup is up and in. Justin Amadi, the fifth year from Greenville, South Carolina. Spent 4 years at JMU in his first year at Tulsa. Puts it up and in.
Yeah, Temple just getting a little too careless, trying to do too much, and 5 turnovers leading to 6 points for Tulsa.
16-14. Temple with a 2-point lead. Finding Dezzoni on the loose ball. Dezzoni up and no good, but there's going to be a blocking foul on Keaston Willis. Some wild action here in Fort Worth, but the Owls hold a 2-point lead with 10-14 to go. We'll be right back after the break on WHIP. Back from the break on WHIP, James Urban, Zach Silverstein here. Temple with a 2-point lead, 16-14, with 10:14 to play in this first half. Zach, just seems like both these teams are still trying to settle in here in the first half.
Yeah, I mean, for both teams, there may be some nerves on both sides. It looked like things got out of control for Temple the second that Steve Settle came out of the game. He is back on the court now, so going to be cool to see how Temple settles in with him back on the court. But, I mean, Temple, with already 5 turnovers in this game, which has led to 6 points for Tulsa, just got to slow things down a little bit. They started out the game really nice, playing a really good game, finding the open shooters, knocking down the open shots. And I like how aggressive they're being going to the basket. But some of them, like Zion Stanford, Elijah Gray, also a little bit just trying to do too much, dribbling the ball way too much, and ending in turnovers.
A fast-paced game, and Shane Dezzoni honestly fortunate to get that blocking foul call, and it sends him to the line for 2 shots. Dezzoni's first free throw is up and good. Temple struggling from the free throw line, 1 for 3 before that one, 2 for 4 now. Dezzoni's second free throw, takes his dribble, does his routine, and the second one is no good. Temple 2 of 5 to start from the stripe. 17-14, we are halfway through the first half here at Dickies Arena. Tulsa with the ball. Justin Amati finding Archie for Tulsa, no good. It's gonna be a foul. And it looks like it's gonna be a push in the back called on Steve Settle. That's gonna be Steve Settle's first personal. Temple now with 4 team fouls here in the first half. Keaston Willis running off screens. And Aiden Tobiasen fouled the 3-point shooter. Zach, that's a cardinal sin.
Yeah, that's the last thing you want from the true freshman there in Tobiasen. He knew it. As soon as the whistle was blown, he knew what he did, but especially kind of fading away. His feet were not set. I mean, you cannot foul a 3-point shooter, especially fading away on the catch and shoot.
And as of right now, Temple doing a solid job on Willis. He's 1 for 4, so kind of letting him see these free throws go through could be a confidence boost for him.
Yeah, I mean, you have a guy in Willis that's averaging 13 on the season. He's a 38% 3-point shooter, so I can see why Tobiasen wanted to contest it and maybe pick up the block there because of how good a shooter Willis is. But now he's going to head to the free throw line where he shoots 80%. So you're essentially handing Tulsa 3 points if you're Tobiasen in the house.
The ref goes to the scorer's table. They're going to take a look at this play.
They were looking to see if it was a 3, I believe.
Okay. And I believe I saw the ref put up his 3 fingers, so it will be 3 shots. Yep, it will be 3 shots for Keaston Willis. The 5 out for Temple, Dezzoni, Stanford, Tobiasen, Settle, and Mokita in the game due to Baba Tunde Duradola, his early 2 fouls.
And that is a favorable matchup down low for Tulsa. Schmeichel and Kita. If I'm Tulsa, I'm going at Schmeichel every single time. Kita is only playing in his 18th game of the season. He's averaging under 1 point per game. He's very tall. He's 7'1", but definitely a raw talent. And if I'm Tulsa, I'm taking advantage of that.
The first free throw, actually no good for Willis. The second one is true. So 17-15, 9:56 to play in the first half. Mokita from Guinea started at St. John's, actually did 1 year at Tulsa, and now is in his 3rd year of college at Temple. The 3rd free throw for Willis is good. He goes 2 for 3 on that trip after the Tobiasen foul, and it's a turnover on the inbounds for Shane Dezzoni. Willis steals it away, and he's going to send him right back to the free throw line. So Willis is going to get 5 straight free throws in about a 2-second sequence.
And we've seen it all season. This Temple team is not good against the press. In late game situations, I know we're still in the first half, 10 minutes to go, but in late game situations, as soon as they feel a press, they always have trouble in getting that ball inbounds. And right here, they face the press. 9:54 to go in the first half, and they're still not able to get the ball in, even in a low-pressure situation like right now.
Keaston Willis knocks down the first free throw, makes it a tie game at 17. 9:54 to play in the first half, and after the Shane Dezzoni turnover on the inbounds, with pressure in the backcourt, Matteo Piccarelli subs him out.
I mean, if Willis makes this free throw, we're going to see if he does. And he does. I mean, that's 4 points for Tulsa in, the span of about 2 seconds.
And Tulsa clearly knows that Temple is short-handed at the point guard position with Quante Berry out and Jamal Mashburn Jr. out. So it's going to be Zion Stanford really leading the offense at the point guard position, and that is not his true role.
That's not his role at all. He's more of a guy that's going to bully you down low. And once again, he's trying to dribble, and just as I say that, he makes that pull-up jumper off the dribble.
Zion Stanford putting on a show of dribble moves, pump faking, and the floater is up and in from the left elbow. Makes it a 1-point lead once again for Temple, 19-18. 9 minutes to play in the first half. And soaring through the air is Tyshawn Archie, the sophomore. Look at the bounce from Archie, giving Tulsa the 1-point lead.
Yeah, Temple really struggling trying to get around those screens. And right there, leading to the wide open dunk for Archie.
Almost a turnover by Zion Stanford. Steve Settle on the right wing, going down into the baseline, up and in and one. Some contact. The foul's going to be on Archie, and Steve Settle trying to get the three-point play the old-fashioned way.
I mean, Steve Settle, he's a guy that's 6'10", and he knows that he's got that big frame down low. And if he's attacking you with a full head of steam, it's very tough to stop him. And he shows why right there.
It's a great take by Steve Settle. Starts 2 for 2 from the field, 4 points. And this free throw looking for his 5th point. Settle's free throw is up and no good. Temple continuing to struggle from the line, 2 of 6. Temple with a 1-point lead, 21-20, 8:50 to play in the first half.
Yeah, it's been all season Temple struggling with those free throws, and in a conference tournament when anything can happen, in any game really, you cannot give away those points at the free throw line.
Down low, it's going to be out of bounds. Tulsa turnover, back to Temple. And all things considered, Temple 2 of 6 from the free throw line, a few turnovers, fouling three-point shooters. They have a 1-point lead, Zach.
Yeah, I mean, it shows you that Tulsa is also shooting themselves in the foot. Temple really making a lot of mistakes, but Tulsa not able to take advantage. And almost a turnover there for Zion Stanford. And like you said earlier, he's not a guy that's going to be a point guard, and he's really struggling right now.
So Tulsa being aggressive with this press in the backcourt. And Matteo Piccarelli, Steve Settle, Shane Dezzoni, and Zion Stanford are the ones that are tasked with breaking this press.
Yeah, I mean, if you watch any Temple film, you know how much they struggle with the press, and especially with guys that usually don't play out there together, like they have Mo Kita out there on this inbounds.
Zion Stanford pressured, finds Shane Dezzoni, and he puts it up ahead to Steve Settle. The lob to Mo Kita, he can't catch it, but it's recovered by Steve Settle. Matteo Piccarelli was about to launch the three-pointer, but the refs blow the whistle because Mo Kita's down, and it looks like it's going to be a lower leg injury. That will most likely bring us to a TV timeout for injury. And it will. Mo Kita is down under the basket after going up for a lob attempt. We'll be back in a few minutes. Temple has a 1-point lead, 21-20. Back here on WHIP Radio after the injury timeout. An unfortunate turn of events here in Fort Worth. Mo Keita going down after the lob attempt. Looks like a leg injury for him, and that makes Temple even more hobbled. Mo Keita down, no Jamal Mashburn Jr., and when the starting lineups were getting announced, we saw no Quante Berry, so Temple really limited with the amount of guys that they can play.
I mean, really, the only other guy they have on the bench that can play center is Duradola, and he picked up 2 fouls quick and came right out of the game. So, I mean, Adam Fisher in a really tough spot right now. Really unfortunate for Keita. There was a nice pass on the alley-oop. Keita just dropped it and just landed wrong on his ankle.
Temple ball coming out of the sideline. Matteo Piccarelli lets a 3 fly. No good. Offensive rebound by Shane Dezzoni. That's what he does best. Left wing, Zion Stanford through the lane, up and under, and it's in. Zion Stanford, a beautiful move, a patient move, Zach.
I was going to say, very good patience there by Zion Stanford, not lifting his pivot foot either. He had the little jump stop, waited for the defender to free up some space, and then was able to lay it in.
Stanford makes the lead, 3 points, 23-20, under the 8-minute mark at Dickies Arena. Keaston Willis guarded tight by Matteo Piccarelli. Right wing, Juwan Odom through the lane, off the glass, and it's good.
Really nothing you can do if you're Temple there. It was good defense, just better offense there by the Golden Hurricane.
And Zach, I don't know about you, but this game seems like it has all the makings of a back-and-forth tight matchup down the stretch late.
Yeah, this may very well be a one-possession game once the clock hits 0.
And that's kind of been the story of all the Temple games this year, is all the games are tight in the end.
I feel like every single game, especially games that I've called, and I know you too, it seems like every game is coming down to the last possession, where it ends up being a free throw game late, and the final 2 minutes takes about 35 minutes.
Win or loss, majority of the time, it seems just like a matter of possessions for Temple.
There are not many blowouts when it comes to Temple basketball on either side of it.
They do a great job at keeping games close, but not a great job of closing teams out. 23-22, Temple with the lead, an air ball from Jared Garcia. No, excuse me, that was Ian Smichael, the 6'8 freshman from West Palm Beach, Florida. Stanford on the left wing. We're under the 7-minute mark. A swing to Settle and a swing to Elijah Gray. Settle's 3-pointer is up and in. Steve Settle, 3 for 3 from the field, make that 7 points for the 6th-year senior, the transfer from Howard.
Steve Settle really can do everything on the court. He's shooting just under 42% from the field. He's a guy that can bully you down low. He can pull up from 3, and that was a deep one too. Went right in, no hesitation, no weaknesses.
Steve Settle knocking down the 3-pointer, and that one was about 4 or 5 feet behind the line.
Yeah, and now he's going coast to coast here, setting up the offense.
Temple 26-22, a 4-point lead. Elijah Gray's 3-pointer up, no good. And it's rebounded by Braden Carrington of the Golden Hurricane. 6 minutes left in the first half, a back-and-forth one we have here in Fort Worth. Thrown away is Braden Carrington, up the floor to Dezzoni. And it's going to be a foul call on Juwan Odom. Shane Dezzoni heads to the line. And that just seems like a big 3-pointer there by Steve Settle. And something that I've noticed, Zach, throughout the year is when Steve Settle makes his 3-pointers, they're in huge spots of the game.
Oh, Steve Settle, there's even times where he's struggling. Like, if he's 0 for 5 from 3, he's going to take a 3 in a close game with about 45 seconds left. And it seems like he always knocks it down. If you need a big shot, you're giving the ball to Steve Settle.
Coming up big in the absence of Jamal Mashburn Jr., who's a guy who would take shots in those big moments.
Yeah, I mean, you get a guy like Jamal Mashburn to close out games, and that's a lot of it, too. I mean, I know he played for majority of the season, did Mashburn, but especially late during the season when he's not there, Temple not able to close out games, and not having Jamal Mashburn Jr. is a huge reason why, and they've had to rely on Steve Settle and Zion Stanford.
Shane Dezzoni goes 1 for 2 from the line.
Continuing the poor free throw shooting.
And that's 3 for 8 from the stripe for Temple. 37%. Almost stolen away on defense. Garcia through the lane. Oh, man. A tomahawk jam for Jared Garcia.
The second Garcia caught that one, you knew exactly what he was going to do. Took off for the rim, didn't care who was in front of him, and slammed it right home.
Temple getting out of the way on defense. Just didn't want to pick up a foul there with Steve Settle. He has one personal. Dezzoni's 3-pointer from the left wing, and that's an answer. And Zach, a 3-pointer is always more points than a dunk there.
I mean, it doesn't matter what the dunk looks like. 2 points is 2 points, whether it's a layup or a dunk. And I know Shane Dezzoni will take that three every time. He even gave a look over to the Tulsa bench after it went in.
Dezzoni stretches the lead to 6. It's 30-24, 5 minutes to play. In Dickies Arena, Tobiasen guarding Keaston Willis. Willis pivoting out to Tyshawn Archie, guarded by Steve Settle. Archie's three-pointer, no good. And Temple has a bunch of momentum here in Fort Worth. Stanford on the left wing, crossing over through the lane. Stanford's lay-in is good, and the Golden Hurricane want to talk it over. Timeout, Coach Kunkel.
Zion Stanford taking control, showing why he's been averaging 20 points per game over their last 3 games to close out the season. Going coast to coast there, finishing with the right hand, and forcing Tulsa into a timeout. And Adam Fisher showing a lot of emotion, which he's been known to do all season.
Offense ramping up for the Owls. They have an 8-point lead with 4:44 to play in the first half. James Urban, Zach Silverstein will be right back on WHIP. Quick break back here on WHIP Radio. And Zach, we just mentioned it, talking about Steve Settle looking calm, cool, and collected, being the leader that Temple needs here today.
I mean, Steve Settle showing that he can do anything on both ends of the court. Even on that three by Shane Dezzoni to answer that Jared Garcia dunk, it was assisted by Steve Settle, taking his time, finding the open shooter. I mean, he's by far having the best game of any player out on the court.
Temple's 2 players that have led the way, who we talked about in the pregame, Zion Stanford and Steve Settle. Stanford 4 of 6 from the field, and Settle a perfect 3 of 3. It's an 8-point lead for Temple. Tulsa almost losing it. 5 seconds left on the shot clock. Tyshawn Archie letting it fly from 3. No good, and it's rebounded by who else but Steve Settle. Steve Settle in transition, keeping his head up. Contact and in! And one, Steve Settle the third.
Steve Settle once again going coast to coast, finishing it off with the M1 floater. I mean, what more could you ask for so far in this game from Steve Settle? We're about 16 minutes into the game, and he's done absolutely everything for Adam Fisher and the Owls.
And that's his second and one. His first bucket of the game was also an and one.
Being able to finish through contact is so important, and Steve Settle having no problem doing it. I mean, hopefully he finishes it off with the make here, and he does. Finally, Temple's been struggling from the line all season and in this game as well.
Settle wasn't able to complete the three-point play on his first and one, but he does so on the second. Steve Settle, 10 points, 4 of 4 from the field.
No weaknesses whatsoever.
Makes it an 11-point lead. Makes it an 11-point lead for Temple, 35-24, 4 minutes to play. Dwan Odom taking on Matteo Piccarelli. His floater's up and in. And honestly, not a bad job by Piccarelli staying in front there.
It wasn't bad at all. And even when that shot went in, you could see Piccarelli look like, oh, that was pretty good defense from me. It just happened to go in. Piccarelli, I mean, they're going to try to attack him. He struggled all year on defense. But a good job there, just better offense.
Under the 4-minute mark in Fort Worth, a 9-point lead for the Owls, 35-26. They lead Tulsa. Down low is Elijah Gray on the right block, and it's going to be a foul on Jared Garcia. And that will bring us to the final media timeout of the first half here at Dickies Arena. Temple's offense looking strong here at the AAC tournament. Here for the final 3:33 on WHIP Radio. James Urban, Zach Silverstein, my partner, here in Fort Worth at the AAC tournament. Temple leading Tulsa 35-26. And Zach, the storyline is the fast break points for the Owls. 12 fast break points for Temple, 0 for Tulsa.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as Temple gets the rebound, they're taking off to the other end of the court. And we've seen Zion Stanford and Steve Settle back-to-back with tough layups. Steve Settle was, he finished through contact and was able to make the free throw to finish off the three-point play. But you love to see it. I mean, it's nice when you're calm, cool, and collected and you can take your time, but also you have to recognize when Tulsa is not responding to how fast you're playing. And like I said, as soon as Temple gets the rebound, they take off, and they'll take 12 fast break points any time of the day.
And what sent us into the final media timeout was a foul on Jared Garcia. That was his second personal. It sent Elijah Gray to the line, and he knocks down the first, makes it a 10-point lead.
And Gray playing so well that Duradola hasn't even checked back into the game after picking up those 2 quick fouls to start the game.
Quick fouls. It was the first minute.
About a minute.
Less than 2 minutes into the game, freshman Babatunde Duradola got 2 personal fouls, and it looked like major trouble for Temple. But Elijah Gray and Steve Settle have really picked up the slack for the big men. He knocks down the second. Keaston Willis lets a 3 fly, no good. Rebound by Stanford. Adam Fisher likes what he sees from his defense, and he tells Zion to slow it down. 37-26, we've hit the 3-minute mark here in Fort Worth.
Tulsa 0 for 7 from three-point range. Temple 6 for 11, 54.5%.
Steve Settle lets a left wing 3-pointer fly. It's a bit short, and it's rebounded by Ian Smichael. Dwan Odom pushing the pace for for Tulsa. Picks up his dribble, has to kick it out to Braden Carrington. Back to Odom, uses Smichael's screen, over back to Carrington, guarded by Piccarelli, and he loses it. Hops on top of the loose ball. It's gonna be a jump ball, possession arrow towards Tulsa.
I really like what I'm seeing from Matteo Piccarelli on the defensive end. He's forcing the turnover there. Tulsa did want the timeout. Referee didn't give it to him. That was number 4 Carrington telling the ref, hey, I called the timeout. The referee said, well, you got to be louder than that. I can't hear you. And Temple getting rewarded because of it.
And excuse me, I thought the possession arrow was pointed towards Tulsa, but it was for Temple. So after the loose ball, hopping on it was Carrington. That's going to send possession back to Temple. 37-26, 2 minutes to play. Zion Stanford has it on the right wing. Finds Elijah Gray. Left wing 3-pointer. Steve Settle up and in. Steve Settle knocks down his second 3-pointer, and Tulsa has to call another timeout. Zach will keep it here. How phenomenal is Steve Settle right now?
I mean, Steve Settle has 13 points already. He's only missed 1 shot, 5 for 6 from the field, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal as well, 15 minutes. I mean, he's single-handedly taking over this game while him and Zion Stanford together have really paired up well. But Temple, a 13-2 run over the last 3 minutes and 19 seconds. I mean, Steve Settle, to not have a guy that's averaging 22 points per game on the year in Jamal Mashburn Jr. and not miss a beat with Steve Settle, who stands 6'10", and can find the open shooter, and can shoot it from 3, and can go coast to coast. I mean, you can't ask for any more than that.
Steve Settle well on his way to a 20-point game, and who knows, could be much more than that. Temple shooting a impressive 58% from the field. They're 14 of 24. You mentioned it, Zach, 6 of 11 from three-point land. And Tulsa 0 of 7 from three-point land. And that 55% from the free throw line for Temple isn't really mattering right now.
Right now, it's not hurting them at all. I would like to see that tick up a little bit. They're leaving some points out there, but if you're going to shoot 6 for 11 from 3, that certainly makes up for it.
Temple 6 of 11 from 3, 6 of 11 from the free throw line. They have a 14-point lead here with 2 minutes to play in the first half, 40-26. Odom down low to Smichael, and it's swatted away by Zion Stanford. Stanford showing off the athleticism. Oh my.
Zion Stanford really showing off the hops there, standing 6'6", had his head pretty much at the rim, and was able to swat that away.
Settle, step back 3, no good. Rebounded by Tulsa.
You can tell Settle's feeling it though with that shot in the corner.
Isaiah Barnes picks up his dribble, finds Willis in the corner. Willis guarded by Picarelli, goes by, down low, and he finds number 5, Josiah McWright, slams it home. It makes it a 12-point game. It's going to be a quick timeout called by Adam Fisher. Zach, you like the timing of that timeout right there?
I mean, you got Temple up by 12. He obviously didn't like what he saw. If I'm Adam Fisher, really, I think I would just let them keep playing right now. It looked like it was a really nice backdoor cut on the baseline, and I think that just with the way that Steve Settle's rolling in this game, Zion Stanford, you let that play kind of keep going. You don't stop that momentum if you're Adam Fisher, but obviously he didn't like what he saw on that defensive end right there.
In such a terrific first half so far for Temple. You have a 12-point lead, 40-28 with 1:15 to play. What do you want to see in hopefully these last 2 possessions of the game?
What I want to see is them just continue to play through Steve Settle, force him to make the right choice, because he's shown all games so far and really throughout the season that more often than not, he will make the right choice. I would like to see some more three-pointers. I know they've taken 12 of them. They're 6 for 12, but they have had some open looks that they passed up. I know you want to try to find the open look, maybe get it down low for a layup or a dunk, but Mateo Picarelli is a sharpshooter on this team. He's out there for a shooting. I want to see him kind of move without the ball, come around some catch-and-shoot threes. If you can get him going as well, and maybe they double-team Steve Settle, that leaves Picarelli wide open, there's nothing you can do if you're Tulsa if that's starting to go for Temple.
Picarelli has knocked down a three-pointer. He's 1 for 3 from three-point land. Temple breaks the press after some token pressure in the backcourt by the Golden Hurricane. We have hit the 1-minute mark at Dickies Arena. Temple in front. Dizzoni lets his left wing three-pointer fly, leaves it short. It's rebounded by Willis. 25 seconds separate the shot clock and the game clock. 50 seconds on the game clock, 25 on the shot clock. Tulsa with the ball. Down low to Justin Amati and swatted away by Elijah Gray, and it's off the hand of Amati back to Temple.
Not only did Gray sniff out that backdoor cut, he was able to get the block and have it deflect off of Tulsa last to beat Temple's ball. Temple is struggling a little bit defending those backdoor cuts. They were able to recover twice. That's the second block they've had on a backdoor cut. But definitely want to tighten things up going into the second half and not let Tulsa get those opportunities.
Temple has it. 25 seconds left on the game clock. 12 seconds left on the shot clock. Most likely the last possession of the half for the Owls. 5 seconds left, and Steve Settle's tripped up, and Temple is in the single bonus, so that's going to send Steve Settle to the free throw line.
Steve Settle lucky there. Might have been bailed out a little bit. Looked like he was tripped up. Referee thought he was tripped up by a Tulsa player, but unfortunately for the Owls, Steve Settle is down trying to stretch out his ankle.
Steve Settle didn't look like anything too bad.
No, he's
on
his way up.
He's taking his time.
Uh-oh.
He's holding that left ankle. He's putting weight on it. And he attempts to walk it off, but he might have to come out of the game. And Adam Fisher will probably have to send someone else to the free throw line to shoot this bonus. The band shouts Steve Settle's name after his terrific first half that he has had. And head coach Adam Fisher believes in his senior leader. He leaves Steve Settle out there with 16.6 left in this first half. Steve Settle walks to the free throw line.
If I'm Adam Fisher, though, right after these free throws,
send him to the locker room.
I'm getting Steve Settle out of the game as quick as possible.
Steve Settle, 13 points, 5 of 7 from the field, 2 of 4 from 3, 4 rebounds, 2 assists. Just a terrific first half from Settle the third. Here is the bonus free throw. Settle. Free throw is up and in. Steve Settle now with 14 points on the half. Walks gingerly back to the free throw line.
Fisher thinking about getting Tobias in there.
I assume if he makes this free throw, quick sub.
Yep.
Settle's second free throw, takes a breath, lets it fly, and it is in, and yep, that's gonna be Aiden Tobias and coming in for Steve Settle, and thankfully
he's jogging off.
He's jogging off, looking a little bit better, and that's gonna be a 15-point half for Steve Settle. Just a huge half for him. 42-28, 15 seconds left in the half. Tulsa has the ball. Dwan Odom guarded at midcourt by Shane Dizzoni. Dizzoni pokes it away. 5 seconds left in the half. Odom through the lane. Layup is up, no good, but he gets fouled. That's going to be Odom sent to the line, the fifth-year guard from Georgia. He's going to have 2 shots to end the half. Well, most likely in the half. 4 seconds left on the clock.
Yeah, I mean, if you're Temple, you never want to foul. 4 seconds left on the clock. I know they're trying to make a play on the ball there. I mean, up by 14, 42 to 28. I mean, I guess you can kind of live with that, but if I'm Temple, I'm obviously trying to contest the shot. Just to bail him out with 4 seconds left is a tough pill to swallow for the Owls.
The foul was on Zion Stanford. Thankfully, just his first personal of the game. It stays the same that the only Owl in foul trouble is Babatunde Duradola with 2. Odom makes the first free throw, making it a 13-point game, 42 to 29. No Golden Hurricanes at the free throw line. Second free throw is up and in. 12-point lead. Temple, Zion Stanford going to let it fly at halftime. Matteo Piccarelli up, no good. Thought he got fouled on the hand there.
It didn't look like he got fouled. He's turned to the ref immediately saying he hit his hand. If it was called, it would have been 3 shots at the line for Piccarelli. I mean, he almost made it though anyway. He was off the backboard, almost went in. But a perfect half for Temple, leading by 12.
The 7-seed Temple leads the 10-seed Tulsa Golden Hurricane 42 to 30 at halftime. Zach, really a pretty solid half considering that sloppy start for Temple. What are your overall thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, kind of like you said, when Temple first started, kind of moving a bit too quick, but then I think they finally got settled in. And no pun intended, you give the ball to Steve Settle, and that's going to make your life a lot easier. The second he was in, so he started the game, Temple was playing great. The second he checked out, that was when things started to get sloppy for the Owls. Then he came back in, and they settled in once again. And really just a perfect half from Steve Settle. And we know we've been watching Temple all season. It's very rare that they play a complete 40 minutes, but I think this was about as a complete 20 minutes as you could possibly play. I know they had a little hiccup there for about 3 or 4 minutes, but considering that their starting center went out of the game in the first minute with 2 fouls and never came back in, and they're still up by 12, really says a lot about the diversity of this team.
Temple looking to go on an AAC tournament run for the second straight year, and they give themselves a nice cushion with a 12-point lead at halftime. James Urban, Zach Silverstein here on WHIP. We'll be right back for the second half. Back from halftime here for second half action on WHIP Radio. James Urban, Zach Silverstein here for you on the call on WHIP Radio. And it was a terrific first half for Temple, specifically Steve Settle III leading the way with 15 points. 5 of 7 from the field, 2 of 4 from three-point land. Zach, Temple, a 12-point lead coming into the second half, feeling pretty good.
They are feeling really good, and they're looking really good as well, but we know anything is possible in college basketball. I mean, we've seen so many times throughout the year where Temple was either up and then they let that lead slip away, or vice versa, when they were down and then were able to come back and win the game. Especially in this conference, these two teams have already seen each other twice this year. They split the season series. They know each other very well, and I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say that Temple has this one in the bag, even though they're up by 12.
Side switching now. Tulsa going left to right, away from us. Temple coming towards us, right to left. Once again, Temple the 7 seed, Tulsa the 10 seed. Temple wearing all white, Tulsa wearing their blues.
Duradola back in the game as well.
And that's a quick bucket for Keaston Willis. Guarded by Matteo Piccarelli. Keaston Willis making it a 10-point game, 42-32. Start of the second half here in Fort Worth. Zion Stanford operating at the top of the key. Gives it to Matteo Piccarelli, out to Steve, gives it back to Stanford. Stanford using a Tobias and screen at the right elbow, through the lane. A lot of contact, no good. Duradola rebound. Duradola kicks it out. No good. Piccarelli is 3, can't draw iron. That's going to be a shot clock violation. Back to Tulsa, and that's what we talk about coming out of halftime. That's a score and then a stop for Tulsa, and momentum back in their favor.
And for Piccarelli there, he caught that pass and kind of jumped right into the Tulsa defender. A really good no call by the referee, and an air ball by Piccarelli.
Braden Carrington through the lane, kicking it out to Isaiah Barnes. Back to Carrington. His step back 3 is up and over the top of the backboard, no good. And Tulsa continuing to struggle from 3, 0 for 8 from the three-point land.
Yeah, I mean, and they're only down by 10. I mean, you make a couple of those, even if you just make 2, you're only down by 4. Temple really fortunate that Tulsa not able to knock those down. They are getting some good looks, though.
Stanford on the left wing decides to pull up. His jumper is up and in, nothing but nylon.
Zion Stanford's game has really improved over these last 2 years. He did not have that in his game last season, and now he's taking them with a lot of comfort. He takes that mid-range with no problem. Even taking some threes as well. He would never take that many threes last season, but the jumper's looking good this year.
Back to a 12-point lead, 44-32, 2 minutes in to the second half. Dwan Odom through the lane, guarded by Tobiasen, over those long arms of Tobiasen, and it's up and in. Back to a 10-point game, 44-34.
Both teams just trading baskets here, and Temple can't live with that because they're up by 10. If Tulsa keeps scoring, it's okay as long as Temple can respond. But now Zion Stanford being double-teamed.
Tobiasen lets a 3 fly. It's up, and he gets fouled. Dwan Odom fouls Tobiasen. That's going to be 3 shots for the freshman from Wilmington, Delaware.
And earlier when Tobiasen fouled a three-point shooter, I believe it was Odom that he fouled. And now Odom fouling him shooting a 3, just trading places there. Now the true freshman is hoping to take advantage of it.
And to give some context on Aiden Tobiasen's season, I don't think everybody really expected him to play as much as he has this year. The beginning of the year, he had some rotational minutes. People thought, all right, maybe they're just testing him out. But throughout the season in conference play, he's been a major part of their rotation.
Now, when this season started, I certainly didn't expect him to start as many games as he has. I mean, the first couple games, maybe the first 4 or 5 games, he wasn't playing as much. Then around game 6, he jumped into that starting lineup and has never looked back. And he's playing really good in his role. And for him to be a true freshman, I mean, it really says a lot. I mean, if he's able to stay at Temple, you would assume he'll be back next season.
Tobiasen and Betty, those 2 freshmen with bright futures. There in North Philly. He goes 2 for 3 on that trip. Temple continuing to struggle from the free throw line. 10 of 16, 62% from the stripe. A 12-point lead once again for Temple. 17:30 to play in the second half. 46-34, Tulsa with the ball back. Carrington down low, guarded by Stanford, no good. A tip-in is up and in by Ian Smeichel, the freshman forward.
I mean, look, that right there was a good play by Smeichel, but Duradola is really struggling with that matchup down there. And as soon as he came out and Elijah Gray came in, Temple found success, and he gives them the tip in there.
Settles pull-up J. from the exact same spot that Stanford just made his, just to the left of that left elbow. And batted out of bounds was Duradola, attempting the offensive rebound back to the Golden Hurricane.
It's also nice to see Steve Settle back on the court. He hurt his ankle in the first half, but able to shake it off and now back in the second.
Down low, Odom wide open and makes it an 8-point game. It's a single-digit lead for Temple, 46-38, and that's going to bring Shane Dezzoni out onto the floor. The 5 there for Temple. Stanford, Tobias, and Duradola, Settle, and Piccarelli. Approaching the 16-minute mark. Down low, Duradola spinning and winning. Duradola caught some contact, no call, but he makes it a 10-point game once again. Keaston Willis the other way. Guarded by Piccarelli. It's going to be an offensive foul. Keaston Willis lowering the shoulder. Piccarelli taking the contact. And it's going the other way. Offensive foul, Keaston Willis.
And a nice job by Piccarelli to slide his feet, making sure keeping both feet on the floor, picking up the charge there. I mean, this may be one of the better defensive performances he's had all season.
Piccarelli doing a great job of staying in front. Matteo Piccarelli, born and raised in Milan, Italy. Played 3 seasons at UMBC. And now his second year. They celebrated Piccarelli on senior night in the season finale victory against North Texas on Sunday. 48-38, Temple, 16-10 to play. Piccarelli's 3 from the right wing, no good. Rebounded by Jared Garcia. In transition, going the other way is Dwan Odom for the Golden Hurricane. Using the Garcia screen, swinging it. Over is Tyshawn Archie. Down low is Garcia. His pull-up jumper is up and nothing but net. Nothing Elijah Gray can do about that one.
No, nothing he can do there. I mean, if you're Elijah Gray, you're going to give Jared Garcia that jumper. I mean, unfortunately for Temple, he did knock that one down, but I think that's a shot that the Owls will live with.
Stanford just passing half court. Once again, no Jamal Mashburn Jr., no Quante Berry, so Zion Stanford has been running point guard. Down low, Elijah Gray lowering shoulders, and he gets fouled on the arm. It's going to be either Isaiah Barnes. It's going to be Isaiah Barnes on the foul, and coming out of this first media time out of the second half, Elijah Gray will have 2 shots. Temple leads 48-40. We'll be right back on WHIP. Back from the first break of the second half on WHIP Radio. James Urban here with my partner Zach Silverstein. Elijah Gray shooting 2 after he got fouled by Isaiah Barnes. That's going to be Isaiah Barnes' second personal foul. Keaston Willis, who had an offensive foul on Matteo Piccarelli before that, he now has 3 personal fouls, so the leading scorer, who averages 13 a game for Tulsa, in a little bit of foul trouble.
Yeah, and it forced him to be subbed out of this game as well. I mean, you have a guy in Keaston Willis who's one of the leading scorers for Tulsa, averaging just over 13 points per game on the season. Once he comes back in, if you're Temple, you got to keep attacking him. You got to force him to foul you. 2 more and he's gone. But for Gray at the free throw line, I love how strong he's been playing. He's been playing a lot of bully ball down low. And he has the ability to take those jumpers too, especially from 3-point range. But like on that last trip in the post, he had Piccarelli open for a 3. Probably could have passed it to him, but instead he decided to keep it, drew the foul, and knocked down that first free throw.
Elijah Gray knocks down the first one. The second one is up and in, 2 for 2 on that trip. Makes it a 10-point game again, 50-40, 15:30 to play in the second half. Elijah Gray, the junior forward from Charlotte, North Carolina, played 2 seasons at Fordham, and now at Temple. Going the other way is Tulsa, and the lob is completed, making it an 8-point game.
That is another backdoor cut that Temple has let up in this game. Really something they have to tie up tonight.
Matteo Piccarelli's 3-pointer, no good. Rebounded by Steve Settle. Back out to Piccarelli. Another try. No good. Piccarelli struggling from 3-point land. 1 of 6. Stolen
Good
away.
hands.
Elijah Gray. Stanford in transition, giving it to DeZoni. Up and under, lay-in is good. A beautiful finish by Shane DeZoni.
A perfect play there by Shane DeZoni, using the rim as protection with the little layup there, going up and under about, and getting it to fall.
Shane DeZoni starting on the left side, finishing on the right side. 52-42, 14:34 to play. Temple trying to advance in this AAC tournament. Aiden Tobiason's going to check in for Matteo Piccarelli, as he is 1 of 7 from 3-point land. Temple 6 of 17 from 3. Out of bounds play from under their basket. Tulsa finds Dwan Odom. He takes on Steve Settle. Down low to Jared Garcia, and he dunks it.
And Stanford almost had the block there on that dunk. A nice recovery from Stanford, just a step too late.
Stanford continuing to run the one. It's an 8-point lead for Temple, and you can clearly tell Tulsa trying to speed Temple up and get this deficit a little bit smaller. Steve Settle on the left wing, guarded by Jared Garcia, and that is just too easy. The long steps by Steve Settle through the lane, and that's going to be 19 points for Steve Settle on the evening.
And Steve Settle getting real low there too, making it difficult for Garcia to keep up with him. I mean, Settle knows how tall his defender is and goes real low to get around him.
54-44, Temple with the lead. A missed 3-pointer by Jared Garcia, rebounded by Shane DeZoni. Going the other way. Shane DeZoni guarded by Odom on the left wing. Uses a Stanford screen. Pulls it back out. Kicks it to Elijah Gray. Shoots a 3-pointer. Gray, no good. Rebounded by Isaiah Barnes. Odom in transition for Tulsa. Through the lane. And he gets fouled. Looks like it's going to be on Stanford or DeZoni. It's going to be on Shane DeZoni. That's going to be his second personal foul. Temple with 2 personal fouls so far this half.
And Temple needs to be careful. Tulsa has made 5 out of their last 6 field goals. Now going to go to the free throw line for 2. Here's Odom, an 80% free throw shooter about. But, I mean, it seems like every time Tulsa scores, Temple is able to respond right back with a score of their own.
Dwan Odom knocks down the first free throw. The 5th-year guard from Georgia. Started at Xavier 2 seasons, then went to Georgia State for 2 seasons, and now in his 5th year at Tulsa. Knocks down the first free throw, makes it a 9-point game. The second one is up and in. 8-point game, 54-46, 13:20 to play, and Tulsa now has put back that pressure in the backcourt.
I mean, the most success Tulsa had in that first half was when they put that full court press on Temple. They weren't able to get the ball in. So going back to it here. And
down low, Elijah Gray on the right block. Layup is no good, rebounded by Garcia. Momentum for the Golden Hurricane. Here's Archie on the right wing, guarded by Tobiasen. Through the lane, his layup is in. No timeout called by Adam Fisher.
I was gonna say, if I'm Fisher, I'm definitely thinking about a timeout if Temple doesn't score here.
54-48, approaching the 12-minute mark here in Fort Worth. The AAC tournament, high energy, high stakes. Zion Stanford through the lane, can't finish it. In transition, McWright loses it, and he's fouled by Shane Dezzoni. That's gonna be number 3 on Shane.
Adam Fisher not happy with that call. Thought that Shane Dezzoni got all ball. Trying to talk to the referee to get him to maybe think about it, but I mean, another turnover there for Temple, and the momentum starting to shift in Tulsa's favor.
Picarelli's gonna sub back in. He's gonna take out Aiden Tobiasen, so
Dezzoni's staying in.
Head coach Adam Fisher is gonna keep Dezzoni in the game with 3 personals. 12:29 to play in the second half. A 6-point lead for Temple. 54-48. Tulsa comes crawling back. Archie at the big A at midcourt, guarded by Stanford. Through the lane, just too much room, and it's up and in.
Yeah, it's timeout.
It's a 4-point lead now for Temple. Dwindling is that lead, and head coach Adam Fisher calls timeout.
Yeah, I mean, James, we talked about it when we came back from the halftime break. Temple, so many times this year, has had a lead, and then in no time found the other team come back, and here we go. 10-point lead at halftime, now down to just 4, and all the momentum is in Tulsa's favor. Just Temple, first of all, not able to make that many shots. They were trading baskets with Tulsa, and then Tulsa went on a 6-0 run in 1 minute and 5 seconds. They're 7 for their last 8. Temple starting to get sloppy. I don't know, maybe they figured something out with Steve Settle because he's not having that same success that he had in the first half.
It's getting tight here in Fort Worth. Be right back on WHIP Radio for the final 12:15 of the second half. Back from the timeout from head coach Adam Fisher. He wanted to talk things over after that halftime lead, which was 12 points, has dwindled down to 4. It's 54-50 with 12:15 to play in the second half. And Zach, now Temple finding themselves in that same theme that they always have been in, a close game.
Yeah, and for Temple, I mean, there have been many times here where Adam Fisher said, all these close games are going to help us later on down the road. When we're in positions just like this, I know that when you're up by 12 at halftime, you don't want to ever be in this position when you're up by 12 at halftime. But here they are, and they have all those previous games where they've been in this exact same spot. They know how to deal with it. But I think if you're Temple, you don't have to rush. You do still have the lead. Just stay calm, keep your composure, and just get good open looks. There's no need to step on the gas too hard and then force some more turnovers, and then which would lead to wide open fast break layups for Tulsa.
A 6-0 run for Tulsa over the last minute. They're 7 of their last 8 from the field. And they have outscored Temple 20-12 here in the second half. Game plan-wise, out of that timeout, Zach. Obviously, the lead is from 12-4 now, but what does Temple need to do to dig deep and still grind out this win?
I think they just got to slow things down a bit. They played really fast coming out of that halftime break, and I mean, they played fast in the first half as well, but obviously Tulsa saw something at halftime. Maybe they were watching some film at halftime, picked up on some things to help it out. But the main thing here is the full court press by Tulsa is really giving Temple trouble to even get the ball across midcourt. And they're going to back off of Steve Settle a little bit here and allow him to do it.
Once again, some pressure by Tulsa in the backcourt. Steve Settle crosses. He gives it to Zion Stanford. We've hit the 12-minute mark at Dickies Arena. 4-point lead for Temple. Piccarelli on the right wing, gives it to Duradola on the baseline. He's guarded by Garcia. Back out to Piccarelli, and he turns it over. A turnover by Matteo Piccarelli. He's guarding Keaston Willis full court. And Keaston Willis gives it to Tyshawn Archie. Archie at midcourt, guarded by DeZoni, gives it up to Odom on the left wing. Odom, a lob to Garcia. It's no good. A point-blank miss by Jared Garcia. Shirley wants that one back, and he fouls DeZoni 90 feet from the basket.
Yeah, and a really bad foul there for Garcia. I mean, I know he's frustrated with himself for not being able to finish off that alley-oop. But now he picks up the foul and puts Temple in a good spot here. He's got 3 personal fouls, so really just a careless play there by Jared Garcia.
It's the 3rd personal on Garcia. It was a quick timeout from head coach Adam Fisher, and now into the media timeout with 11:30 to play in the second half. Be right back on WHIP. Out from the media timeout, James Urban, Zach Silverstein here for you on the call on WHIP Radio. The Temple lead has gone down to 4. It's 54-50 with 11:30 to play in this second half. And in a big stretch of this second half where Temple needs points to bounce back from this Tulsa run, They haven't scored in the last 2:30.
Yeah, 2 minutes, 34 seconds with no points for Temple. And Tulsa has countered with a 6-0 run over the last minute 49. A turnover there by Piccarelli a couple seconds ago. And then the missed alley-oop by Tulsa. Temple gets it back after the foul by Garcia, and almost another turnover there.
It's Dizzoni, Settle, Piccarelli, Stanford, and Duradola in for Temple right now. Archie, Willis, Garcia, Amadi, and Odom in for Tulsa. And subbing out is Keaston Willis for Braden Carrington, because that foul is on Keaston Willis, the leading scorer for Tulsa, and that's number 4. So the leading scorer for the Golden Hurricane now on the bench with 11 minutes to play in this second half.
And it was a tough foul there. He was trying to pick off that pass and made some contact. It was called for the foul. Tough one there, but Temple will take it.
Stanford down low to Duradola, kicking out to Piccarelli. Backing down, Settle. Settle on the right wing. Kicking out to Piccarelli, his three-pointer. No good. Way off the mark is Piccarelli. He's now 1 for 8 from three-point land.
I mean, he's certainly not lacking confidence. He keeps taking those three-pointers, just not having any success. Now Temple over 3 minutes with no points.
And approaching the scorer's table is Aiden Tobiasen and Elijah Gray. Jared Garcia lets a three-pointer fly, and it's good. And Zach, it's a 1-point game just like that.
In the blink of an eye, Temple goes from up by 12 to up by 1. 10.5 to go in this second half. Just a tale of two halves for Temple. Tulsa playing the way Temple was in the first half. They're just completely reversing roles in these two halves.
Stanford running point. Guarded by Odom on the left wing. Swinging into Settle. Settle guarded by Garcia. Through the lane, backing down. Settle. Up and no good. Rebounded by Tulsa, and Tulsa has a chance to take the lead.
Tulsa very active on both ends of the floor. Playing physical, making things tough for Temple.
We've hit the 10-minute mark in Fort Worth. Down low to Garcia. Over to Amadi, and it's stripped away. A great defensive play by Shane Dizzoni. Amadi had a wide open dunk, and Dizzoni stripped him. Dizzoni on the left wing, backing down to Stanford. He gets it. Guarded by Archie. Swinging over. Piccarelli, high post, Steve Settle at the free throw line. Lots of contact, and it's going to be a foul, a jump ball. That's a weird call. I thought I saw a lot of contact, but the ref calls a jump ball.
Yeah, Tulsa with some luck there being called for the jump ball. Steve Settle did have Shane Dizzoni open on the wing for a three, decided to keep it. Luckily for Temple, the possession arrow was in their favor.
And maybe because he didn't pass it out, because the Owls are 0 for 6 from 3 this half. Stanford, left wing, jab goes. Through the lane, Zion Stanford can't get it to go. Tipped away, it's gonna be Temple ball under the basket. Elijah Gray had a few chances, couldn't get it to go. And now things are getting really tight here.
And that right there was a layup that Zion Stanford missed. A really nice spin move to get to the basket and missed it. And then Gray and Stanford both went for the rebound. Luckily, it was tipped out by Tulsa, but need to communicate there on the glass.
Piccarelli subbed out. Stanford, Settle through the lane. He gets fouled. That'll be, we're gonna wait to see the call. I believe it was Odom. Braden Carrington on the foul. Shooting foul, gonna send Steve Settle to the line. Steve Settle has 17 points on the evening, 6 of 10 from the field, 3 of 4 from the stripe, and he has an opportunity at the line right here.
You gotta find points any way possible. Being outscored 23-12 in this half, and as I say that, James, the struggles continue.
Settle misses the first free throw. Temple now 12 of 19 from the stripe. Settle's second free throw is good. He has 18 points now, and he makes it a 2-point lead for Temple. Tulsa has outscored Temple 23-13 in the second half. A 12-point lead at halftime is now 2 for the Owls. The 7 seed versus the 10 seed. 9 minutes to play in Fort Worth. Garcia down low, and he gets fouled by Elijah Gray in the act of shooting.
Gray got beat there. He got taken off the dribble by Garcia. And I mean, just kind of caught flat-footed there and went right by him. And I guess trying to recover, stuck his hand in there, trying to go for the steal, was called for the foul. And Garcia going to the line.
The fifth-year forward, Jared Garcia from Houston, Texas, is a 64.3% free throw shooter. The first one is up and in. Makes it a 1-point game, 55-54. The Owls are in front by 1. Garcia can tie it right here.
Yet another.
60, yep.
No, it's just yet another close game for Temple. And I mean, there was a post-game presser earlier this year. Adam Fisher was asked, "You think all these close games are going to help you later on in the season?" He said, "Yes, 100%." And now here Temple is in the conference tournament in a 1-point game.
The second free throw by Garcia was no good. Temple holds a 1-point lead, hanging on by a thread. It's a kick ball by Tyshawn Archie. It's going to stay with Temple, a sideline out of bounds. The Zoni's going to take it out of bounds right next to his head coach, Adam Fisher. Zion Stanford on the right wing, guarded by Odom. Stanford, pull up Jay. No good. Rebounded by Braden Carrington. And Temple hasn't gotten anything to go this half. 2 of their last 11, 0 of their last 7.
I mean, and Temple's getting good looks. They're getting good looks, just not able to knock them down. Those are shots they were hitting with ease in the first half. I mean, but you got to keep taking them because they are open.
Temple's going to have to dig deep on defense if they want to move on in this conference tournament. They hold a 1-point lead with 8:30 to play. Garcia lets a 3 fly. No good, and it's rebounded by Steve Settle. He keeps it high, tucks it to his chin, and he gives it to Zion Stanford. Stanford has numbers through the lane, gives it to Elijah Gray, and that's a great find in midair. Stanford gives up the shot, finds Elijah Gray, and that's a 3-point lead for Temple, 57-54.
Perfect decision there to stay calm by Zion Stanford and find Gray right under the basket. He could have forced it, but instead found his open teammate.
Here's a big growth moment for Zion Stanford. The sophomore forward leading the way for Temple in this conference tournament. Just some big shoes to fill in this position, running the point guard position when it's not really his main thing.
I mean, he came into the year not expecting to be able to have to lead an offense. That was Jamal Mashburn Jr., that was Quante Berry, and now they're both out in the biggest game of the year. I mean, to be able to be called upon in this magnitude in a game like this, to perform a role that you really haven't done at the collegiate level, and to be able to step up like this, it really tells you a lot about Zion Stanford and his ability.
It's going to be back-to-back fouls on Temple, one by Elijah Gray, which was his second, and then Zion Stanford just committed one. That will also be his second foul. It's going to be 6 team fouls by Temple. The next one is shooting for Tulsa. 57-54, it's a 3-point lead for Temple with 8:03 to play in this second half. Tensions are high here at Dickies Arena. Tyshawn Archie running the point at the top of the key, guarded by Aiden Tobiason. He goes right, he crosses over to his left, back to his right, and he gets fouled. And now that's going to be 17 fouls on Temple. And Tyshawn Archie is going to be shooting after the media timeout. 7:49 to play in this second half. Things are getting tight here in Fort Worth. Don't miss a beat. We'll be right back on WHIP. Here for the final 7:49 on WHIP Radio. James Urban, Zach Silverstein here for the second half finish in Fort Worth, Texas. Temple hanging on to a 3-point lead, 57-54. And a foul by Aiden Tobiasen on the reach-in is going to send Tyshawn Archie, the sophomore guard from Houston, Texas, averaging 9.5 points per game, to the free throw line. The lefty guard for the 1-and-1. His free throw is up and in. He knocks it down, makes it a 2-point game, 57-55.
I mean, and a major difference in this game here today is Tulsa 12 for 14 from the free throw line. Temple 13 for 20. Major reason why this game is so close.
You can feel the tension, the high stakes really starting to become apparent here in Fort Worth. It's a 1-point game now. Archie makes both.
I mean, just looking over at the Temple bench, you can see how nervous everybody is over there. Things are starting to get real for the Owls.
Season on the line in Texas. 57-56. Steve Settle has it. Guarded close by Braden Carrington. Elijah Gray on the handoff. Through the lane, almost loses it, gets it back. Lots of contact, can't get it to go, and it's a rebound by Ian Smichael. Once again, Tulsa has a chance to take the lead. 7 minutes to go. Dwan Odom gets told by Coach Conkle to slow it down. The 10-seed Tulsa versus the 7-seed Temple. Archie guarded closely by Tobiasen. And he's fouled by Tobiasen. It was great defense, just too many hands.
And Adam Fisher, not at all happy with that call, screaming at the referee. But Tobiasen, I mean, he's trying to make a play on the ball, trying to pick up a block, a steal, anything. But now all you're doing is sending Tulsa back to the free throw line with a chance to take the lead here.
Tyshawn Archie has the first free throw with a chance to tie the game at 57. And he can't do so. He misses the first. Tyshawn Archie, even though he's a 6-foot guard, he just shoots 56% from the stripe on the season. He went 2 for 2 on the last trip, but misses the first here.
Yeah, I mean, for every team, you would think that usually your guards are your better free throw shooters, but if there's one guy that you're going to foul, it's definitely Archie. Like you said, James, 56% from the line. Later on in the game, if it becomes a foul game and Temple needs to foul somebody, you got to look to Archie.
He makes the second one, and it's tied. 57-57, and we have approached the 7-minute mark. Temple has to dig deep, led by Zion Stanford. Jabs and goes through the lane, and he gets fouled on the way up. It's going to be a shooting foul, and Zion Stanford is going to have a chance for 2.
The one thing I'm seeing from Tulsa's defense is every time a Temple Owl drives to the basket, there's about 3 or 4 Golden Hurricane players that are crashing right to him. And obviously that means that a bunch of Temple players are open on the perimeter, but they have their hands straight up to the point where the guy with the ball on Temple cannot find any pocket to get that pass off. I mean, it's just a really good defensive scheme by Tulsa.
And for good reason. Temple's 0 for 6 from 3 this half. They're 6 for 19 on the game, all 6 threes from Temple in that first half.
Yeah, we started out the game saying, wow, they're on fire from 3 and have not been able to hit one since. I mean, luckily for the Owls, Tulsa's 1 for 11 from 3. They're shooting 9.1%.
Zion Stanford misses the first free throw, and he makes the second. So Temple leaving plenty of points at the free throw line. They're 14 of 22 now with a 1-point lead. 58-57, 6:30 to play. Losing it, a turnover. Matteo Piccarelli corrals it and gives it to Zion Stanford. And head coach Adam Fisher wants to run a half-court set. Crossing half court is Zion. Zion pulls up over the top, and he leaves it way long.
A really tough shot there. A lot of time on the shot clock for Zion Stanford, and elected to take that tough fadeaway jumper.
And that's his weakness sometimes, is he can be careless with the basketball, take some bad shots, but he comes in transition now. Finding Piccarelli, swinging it to Aiden Tobiasen. Down low, Elijah Gray now at the left elbow, pump faking. Spinning, Elijah Gray kicking out to Zion. He lets a 3 fly, no good. And it's a foul call on Aiden Tobiasen. He smacked Ian Smichael in the arm. And that's gonna have Ian Smichael walk 92 feet all the way to the other end of the court to the free throw line. Aiden Tobiasen. That's going to be his third personal foul.
I mean, James, we've seen it in the women's tournament as well. This conference tournament, men's and women's, how many fouls have we seen under the opposing basket, 85-plus feet away from the other basket? I mean, you're just bailing out Tulsa in this situation.
I hate to be this critical, but low IQ plays.
It is.
It's a 1-and-1 for Tulsa. Schmeichel's first free throw is up and in.
And especially considering how good Tulsa is shooting from the free throw line, you're giving them a chance here to take the lead with 5:53 to go in the game.
5:53 to play. You said it. 58-58. Schmeichel has a chance to give the Golden Hurricane a lead. Schmeichel's second free throw. No good. Off the back of the rim. And it's an offensive rebound. Braden Carrington gets a second possession for Tulsa. 5:45. 58-58. Archie at the top of the key. Gives it to Carrington. He's guarded by Tobiasen. Back to Archie on the left wing. Guarded by Picarelli. He finds Ellis. A step back three. No good, but another offensive rebound by Tulsa. Temple can't catch a break. 10 seconds left on the shot clock. Archie picks up his dribble, gives it to Carrington in the right corner. Carrington taking Picarelli all the way through the lane.
Great defense.
Steps through. No time left on the shot clock. A fadeaway, no good, and it's a shot clock violation. Matteo Picarelli finally getting awarded for his great defense.
That was perfect defense there by Picarelli. Didn't bite on the pump fake, kept his feet on the floor, forced the shot clock violation. And if you're Temple, you got to get something going. They're 1 for their last 11 from the field. Haven't made a field goal in 3 minutes and 12 seconds. But luckily for Temple, look at Tulsa. They're even worse. 5 minutes and 36 seconds with no made baskets.
Just
for the
a bunch of free
Hurricane.
throws.
That's all it's been.
Temple just 16 points this half. We've hit the 5-minute mark. It's notched at 58 apiece. Stanford operating on the left wing. Kicks it out to Steve Settle. Steve Settle through the lane, and he's no good, but it gets tipped in by Baba Duradola. When you needed a bucket, the freshman from Canada gives you it.
There's been a lot of missed layups by Temple in this half, but Duradola, Adam Fisher told him to check into the game, wanting to get some size and some height in there, and a really good choice by Fisher. It led to 2 points by the true freshman.
A ginormous bucket from Duradola. A three-pointer from the wing by Willis is good in the face of Picarelli, and that's going to be a lead for the Golden Hurricanes, 61-60. 4:20 left. 1 point lead for Tulsa.
Temple has led this game for 31 minutes, and Tulsa taking the lead late in this one.
Stanford slowing things down. He gets fouled. And Temple is in the bonus. So 4:11 left in this game. Well, unless overtime happens. 4:11 left in the second half. And you can never count out overtime.
Especially with this team.
For Temple, they actually had back-to-back overtimes.
They did.
Overtime games at one point in the season. I believe it was during the 6-game losing streak.
Yeah, and one of those games went to double overtime.
Yeah, one of the games went to double OT. It's still single bonus for Temple, and Zion Stanford is going to be at the line. Like you mentioned, Zach, Temple has led 31 minutes of this game, and they have now lost the lead after a 12-point lead at half.
And we said 5 minutes into the game when Temple was missing their free throws that those missed free throws could come back to haunt them. Now here they are down by 1, Stanford with a chance, and he knocks it down.
Temple, 8 missed free throws. Zion Stanford knocks down the first, ties it at 61. They're 15 of 23 on the night, shooting 65%. Stanford with 4:11 to play, 61-61. He has a chance to give the Owls a 1-point lead in crunch time.
I mean, this is as close as it gets, as stressful as it gets. Season on the line, 4:11 to go. This is what we find out what you're made out of.
Stanford holds his follow through, and he gives Temple the 1-point lead, 62-61. And we have hit the 4-minute mark in Fort Worth. Season's on the line. Both teams fighting for the rest of their season. Steve Settle stolen away. And he's on the way up, and that's going to be a steal for Steve Settle and send us into the media timeout. A ginormous defensive play for Settle. We have 3:58 to play. Do not go anywhere. We will be right back with Temple Season on the line on WHIP Radio. Back for the final 3 minutes and 58 seconds in Fort Worth, Texas at the AAC tournament here at Dickies Arena. It's James Urban and Zach Silverstein on the call on WHIP radio. And here we find ourselves again, Zach. Temple in another close game. They've been getting outworked on the boards in the second half, and they can't make shots. But Steve Settle, the senior leader of this team today, has a chance with 2 free throws to get his 20th point of the night and give Temple a 3-point lead.
Yeah, for Temple, there's really nothing I would change when it comes to how they're playing. You're just, like you said, they're not hitting their shots, and they're getting good looks. Finally, they're starting to make their free throws a little bit.
A nerve-wracking environment. You could just feel it in this building.
I mean, you got Fisher over there down on one knee.
You don't even know what he's looking into space right now.
He's staring at the floor. He's got his chin in his hand.
He's just hoping Steve can make those free throws, and he makes both. Steve Settle knocks down both free throws. That's 20 points on the night. 26 and 2 for Steve Settle, and he gives the Owls a 3-point lead, 64-61. Odom guarded by Dezzoni on the right wing. He gives it to Ellis. Ellis rises for the three-pointer, way off the mark, and it's rebounded by the freshman Duradola. And Duradola had a major tip-in on the other end a few possessions ago.
Yeah, which kind of started this little run here for Temple, trying to slow things down a little bit, calm things down a little bit. He had early foul trouble to start the game, but has responded nicely.
Down low is Stanford. He gets his own miss. No good. Rebounded by Tulsa. He had 2 shots on it. And it's a foul once again, Zach, 90 feet from the basket, and it's going to send the Golden Hurricane to the free throw line. And that's 10 fouls now this half on Temple, so it's going to be double bonus for Tulsa. And Tulsa also has 9 personal fouls for the team this half, so their next foul will also be double bonus for Temple.
Yeah, and I mean, we said it not long ago. So many fouls, 85-plus feet away from the basket. And I mean, I'm sure Zion Stanford frustrated. He missed a layup there. And James, I'm looking at it here. Temple 9 for 20 on layups in this game. That's a lot of points you're leaving out on the board there.
Point blank misses, 9 for 20 on layups, and 18 of 26 from the free throw line, just 69% from the stripe for Temple, so leaving 8 points on the board there as well. Braden Carrington, after the foul, makes the first, and he makes the second. It's a 1-point lead for Temple. 64-63 with 3 minutes and 20 seconds left to play here in Fort Worth. It's the second round of the AAC tournament. Both teams' seasons on the line. It's win or go home for head coach Adam Fisher and his Owls. Down low, Elijah Gray finding Shane Dezzoni, and he fouls. Shane Dezzoni fouled by Dewan Odom. Kind of a fortunate turn of events there.
Temple really lucky there. Ball went out of bounds. Might have hit off Dezzoni last, but doesn't matter because Odom gets caught for the foul. His third of the game.
Elijah Gray posting up. Jared Garcia picks up his dribble, and Shane Dezzoni with the heads-up play, cutting under the basket, and he gets fouled on the pass attempt.
Shane Dezzoni does everything that does not show up in the box score. It's just if you watch the game, you know how hard he plays and how good he is.
Shane Dezzoni leaves that first free throw short, and it stays a 1-point lead for Temple. Temple now 18 of 27 from the line. Dezzoni's second free throw for the 2-point lead is in, and it's 65-63 with 3 minutes to go at Dickies Arena. Dewan Odom walks it up the court. The 5 out there for Temple are Dezzoni, Stanford, Settle, Gray, and Piccarelli. Under the 3-minute mark, Dewan Odom driving on Dezzoni through the lane, and the layup with the left hand is good. What a beautiful spin and finish by Dewan Odom.
That's a great move right there, especially against a defender like Shane Dezzoni. Be able to spin around him, finish it with the left hand. That's really impressive.
It's tied 65 apiece. 2:30 to play. Steve Settle rips through, and he gets fouled on the body. That is definitely a blocking foul. A great call by the refs there. That's going to send Settle to the line.
James, it feels like the last 4 or 5 trips down the court for Temple, they've all ended in fouls. I mean, Temple will take it, but I mean, if you're Tulsa, you got to be a little bit more disciplined on the defensive end.
And once again, everybody, double bonus for both teams the rest of the way. So 2 shots on any foul, whether it's shooting or not. And Steve Settle taking his time and approaching the line. Temple band cheering on the 6th-year senior, Steve Settle. He is 20 and 6 on the evening. His first free throw is up and nothing but net. 66-65. It's a 1-point lead for the Owls. Temple trying to advance into tomorrow's game at 6 o'clock against North Texas. Steve Settle's second free throw. Up and in. He's really locked in at the free throw line these last two trips.
I mean, he's 8 for 10 from the line in this game. He is the one bright spot in this game. I mean, Elijah Gray is 5 for 7. Zion Stanford 3 for 4. But all season, it's always, the misses are very timely misses. They come in huge spots, but the opposite here so far.
Garcia's 3 from straight away is good. And that gives Tulsa the 1-point lead. And for Garcia's size, at 6'9", he shoots the 3 ball very well.
I mean, you wouldn't expect a guy like that who stands at 6'9" to take a three-pointer in this situation, but they gave him room. He took advantage of it.
A 1-point lead for Tulsa. Down low, Steve Settle kicking it back out to Elijah Gray. His three-pointer, no good, off the mark, rebounded by Tulsa. Tulsa leads 68-67 with 1:45 to play, and that three-pointer by Garcia was huge.
I mean, James, it's a tale of two halves from 3 for both of these teams. Tulsa couldn't make one in the first half, and Temple couldn't miss. Now it's the opposite.
Down low, Justin Amati through the lane, and it's up and in. And that's a 3-point lead for Tulsa. Temple now finding themselves in a hole. Zion Stanford has to do something about it. He crosses over through the lane, and he lays it up and in.
That's what you need. I was going to say they should not force a 3 there in that situation. Being down by 3, minute and a half to go, get something going to the basket, and get a stop on the defensive end.
No timeout called by Adam Fisher, and it resulted in a Zion Stanford bucket.
If you wanted drama, you got it.
We've hit the 1-minute mark. It's crunch time in the AAC tournament. A 3-pointer by Jared Garcia, and it is good. A 4-point lead for Tulsa due to Jared Garcia's clutch hand. Jared Garcia, ice cold, hitting back-to-back 3-pointers in crunch time.
Anything could happen in March, James. Like I said, if you wanted drama, you certainly got it here at Dickies Arena in Fort Worth.
Jared Garcia, who came into this game 11 of 41 from three-point land, shooting just 26% from 3 on the season, knocks down back-to-back in the biggest stretch of Tulsa's year, keeping their season alive.
If you were going to try to predict the outcome of this game, I don't think anybody would have had Jared Garcia icing the game, or potentially icing the game, with back-to-back 3-pointers from the top of the key.
All right, Zach, so now with this scenario, 73-69, Temple just like that, now down 4. 53.6 seconds left on the clock. What is head coach Adam Fisher drawing up here? And whatever they need it quickly.
Yeah, and if I'm Adam Fisher, with how much the Owls have been struggling from 3-point range in this half, I'm getting something going to the basket quick. I'm setting a screen. Look, the one-on-one matchups, trying to go to the basket are not working. They've done it all half, not working. It's going to have to be a backdoor cut, maybe a pick and roll, get something like that going. And if there is an open 3-point shooter, then you kick it out. But the last thing I'm doing is forcing a 3 in this situation.
Tulsa 4 of 9 from 3 this half, and those two, some of the clutchest shots that we've seen in this tournament, men's and women's so far, from Jared Garcia, the 5th-year forward from Houston. Knocks down back-to-back 3-pointers and gives the Golden Hurricane a 4-point lead. 73-69 with 53.6. Sideline out of bounds, Matteo Piccarelli gives it to Zion Stanford. Temple has to go quick. They don't need a 3. Stanford through the lane, and he gets fouled. If it's on, it's going to be on Garcia on the hand. So Zion Stanford, all things considered, a pretty good outcome for Temple. Stanford gets fouled quickly.
And just 4 seconds taken off the clock.
Just 4 seconds taken off the clock. 49 flat left. Stanford's going to have 2 shots because it's double bonus. Chance to make it a 3-point game here. Stanford leaves it short. Zion Stanford leaves the first free throw short. That's a big one.
We said that their misses are usually timely. Doesn't get any more timely than this right here.
Temple has missed 10 free throws on the night. 21 of 31. Stanford's second free throw is good.
you have your opponent who's 4 for 16 from 3. 2 of those 4 shots are coming the biggest spot in the game. And you on the flip side are 22 for 32 from the line. 32 free throws is a lot. And only making 22 of them, and now it's coming back to haunt them.
73-70. The Owls are down 3 points with 49 seconds left. And they're gonna have to put some pressure in the backcourt here on Tulsa with their season on the line. Settle, Dezzoni, Picarelli, Gray, and Stanford are out on the floor. Tobias and Duradola are on the bench.
And that missed huge because now it's a 2-possession game. Stays a 2-possession game. If Stanford goes 2 for 2 from the line there, all Temple needs is a stop and a 3-pointer to tie the game. Now they got to make 2 shots. Unless a miracle happens, they got to stop. They're fouled on a 3.
Temple putting pressure in the backcourt. And he called timeout. Braden Carrington almost stepped over the line, but they gave him the timeout before.
Fisher telling the refs to go to the replay review. Looks like they may go to the scorer's table.
So for everybody that can't see it on radio, Braden Carrington actually was stepping over the out-of-bounds line and called timeout while his foot was in the air, and they gave it to him before the foot came down in play. And if they wouldn't have given him that timeout, that would have been a over-the-back violation and been Temple ball.
I mean, I was hoping they would show the replay on the screen here at Dickies Arena. I mean, it was a bang-bang play. I mean, and you can't, they could go to review if they wanted to, but the referee's confident that they made the right call.
And Temple putting themselves in this unfortunate position, getting outscored by 15 points this half, 43-28. They had a 12-point lead, 42-30 at halftime, and now are down 3 with 49 seconds flat remaining. Tulsa has made 4 of their last 4 field goals.
22 for 32 from the free throw line, 10 for 21 on layups, which I think hurts even more than the free throws because, I mean, the layups are layups. Division I basketball team, you should be making them.
Temple also 0 for 8 from 3 this half. Tulsa knocking down their free throws on the other end, 81%, 17-21. Carrington inbounding, pressure from Temple. Zion Stanford, and a smart move by Temple, not fouling. You still have time to get a stop. 20 seconds separate the shot clock and the game clock. 30 seconds on the game clock, 10 on the shot clock. Stanford guarding Odom. Odom down low. The floater is up, no good. And he fouls. Dewan Odom fouls Matteo Picarelli on the attempt of the offensive rebound. And so Matteo Picarelli, once again playing great defense, gets a stop and gets the defensive rebound, and he gets fouled in the process on the arm. And it's double bonus, like we've mentioned, so Matteo Picarelli is going to get 2 shots. And what's game plan here is that you make both, obviously.
You have to make both, and
there's still 24.4 seconds
You're
left.
making both here, and then on the inbound, you're going for the steal, and if you don't get it, you're fouling as soon as possible.
Matteo Picarelli, his first free throw is up and in. It's now 73-71. Temple trails by 2. 24.4 seconds remain. Matteo Picarelli at the line. He struggled from 3-point land. He's 1 for 8, but he knocks down the first free throw. The second one, up and no good. And Temple has to foul.
Got to foul quick.
Temple has to foul. There's 20 seconds left, and they foul at 19.7. Matteo Picarelli in and out on that free throw. And now if he made both of those, then Temple could afford both makes here from Tulsa.
Now you're praying for a miss here. Tulsa has to go 1 for 2 from the line here for Temple's sake.
Steve Settle picks up his 3rd foul. He fouls Braden Carrington. It's double bonus, 2 shots for Carrington. Carrington shoots 68% on the season, and he makes the first. He comes into this game shooting 42 for 61 from the line, and he knocks down the first one calmly, making it a 3-point game, 74-71, 19.7 left. Temple desperately needs a miss here, or at some point. Nobody in the lane for Tulsa. The second one is good. Braden Carrington knocks down both calmly.
And that may very well be the difference in the game, James. The free throw shooting. One team was very efficient. The other one not so much, and it may haunt them.
Temple needs to go quickly. There's 15 seconds left. Zion Stanford brings it up. He's going to have to shoot the three. He pulls up, and he lets it fly. It's no good, and it's rebounded by Tulsa. And that may be the season for the Owls. Heartbreaking down the stretch.
I mean, the story of the season for Temple. We said it. It seems like every game they play comes down to the wire. No lead is safe. And that's exactly what happened tonight here in Fort Worth.
75-71 with 9.3 seconds left. Temple's going to need a miracle. Justin Amati at the line for Tulsa. First one's no good. Badly missed by Amati. Temple with 9.3 seconds left. They're going to have to make some sort of three-pointer and then a quick foul once again. Amati's second free throw. No good. Zion Stanford has to go. There's 5 seconds left.
Got to put it up.
Adam Fisher called a timeout. And the refs are going to have to check the clock. It seemed like Fisher probably called timeout before the 5.9 second
a little bit
mark.
earlier.
Right now, the clock reads 5.9, but they'll probably put a little bit of time back on.
And Temple, I mean, the worst case scenario here, you haven't made a three all half, and you need a three to have any chance of keeping your season alive. I mean, it has to be a catch and shoot situation. This can't be you inbound the ball, you take a couple dribbles, then you shoot it up. It's got to be like Matteo Piccarelli comes around a screen, catch and shoot three. I mean, you're relying on it right now. You have no other options.
Just sickening the way that this half has gone for Temple.
We've seen it all year.
You look so phenomenal in that first half. You build up a 12-point lead, but it's been the same story all year, Zach. No lead is ever enough for this Temple team. And clearly, getting outscored by 16 points here in this second half. That 12-point halftime lead was not enough. And you put yourselves in this situation where you need a quick three-pointer with 5.9 seconds left.
And James, in the first half, 6 for 13 from three, 46.2%. Second half, 0 for 9. So they're shooting 46% from three going into halftime. And right now, with 5 seconds left, they're shooting
27%.
27%. Couldn't be any worse for the Owls.
Officials at the scores table. He's looking at the clock. So we're going to assume that there might be at least a second or two put back on. And it will be another second added on. So a 5.9 left. A second gets added on, 6.8. One of the only miracles that you can think of right now, Zach, is maybe an and 1-3. Shane Dezzoni on the sideline out of bounds. He gives it to Steve Settle. He lets a three-pointer fly. It's no good. It's going to be out of bounds, 0.3, and that is going to be the season for the Temple Owls. The 7-seed Temple is going to fall to the 10-seeded Tulsa.
Piccarelli made it at the buzzer. Too late.
And the bench for Temple is just absolutely deflated. And that's going to do it for some of the careers of some of the Temple Owls. Steve Settle, the 6th year, and Matteo Piccarelli, the 5th year. This was their last game ever in college in just a brutal way to go out, losing 75-71 here at the AAC tournament.
And that final possession there by Steve Settle, real quick, he got his defender in the air, and down 4, I really would have liked to see him just take that three and try to force some contact. I mean, yeah, you'll take the wide open look, but you need points. You need 4 points. So not enough time, even if he made that three, to even do anything with it. And really just heartbreak for Temple.
So expectations coming into this tournament not fulfilled. Temple going on a run last year all the way to the championship, but getting knocked out in their first game this year against the lower-seeded Tulsa. Just heartbreaking, Zach. I mean, you're up 12 at halftime, and you get outscored by 16. and you lose to an inferior Tulsa team. Temple was better than this Golden Hurricane team.
Temple was much better than Tulsa, and just not able to hit those shots. That's really all it comes down to. I said earlier that there's nothing I would change in terms of how they were playing the game tonight. Just you got the looks you wanted. In the first half, you were making them. The second half, you weren't. There was a switch that was flipped at halftime in favor of Tulsa. And really, sometimes you'd rather just lose from the start. You'd rather just be down the whole game and not be able to come back. But to have the game in your hands and lose it really, really hurts. I mean, James, Temple led for 32 minutes and 51 seconds, and they lost this game. Tulsa led for 4 minutes and 10 seconds, and they're moving on to the quarterfinal of this tournament.
In just a matter of days, both the women's and the men's program get knocked out of the AAC tournament with extremely disappointing finishes. And the Temple men's will have to go back home to Philadelphia. No AAC tournament championship run this year. And that will do it for James Urban and Zach Silverstein here on WHIP Radio. A disappointing finish for the Temple season. Thank you everybody for tuning in. It was a pleasure calling these games here with Tyler Blankenship as well.
This is our last one.
Our last call for WHIP Radio. It was an awesome time here in Fort Worth, Texas. I really had a lot of fun here this week. Just a shame that this was the way it had to end.
Yeah, I mean, there's no other guys I'd rather spend it with down here.
Yeah.
Definitely was hoping that our careers would have one more game to them at least. But that's going to do it all for us at WHIP. And like I said, had a lot of fun down here. Can't believe it's over.
Regardless of
there's no other way I'd rather go out with you guys.
Regardless of the outcome, so appreciative of this experience being down here in Fort Worth.
Not many people get to come down here in college.
Yep. I want to give a shout out to Nick Parr and Lillian Prieto for sending us down here. Really appreciate it, giving us the opportunity. It has been a lot of fun. And that's going to do it for the men's season, losing to Tulsa 75-71. That will be all from James Urban, Zach Silverstein, and Tyler Blankenship. We'll have a post-game stand-up on our Twitter, and we'll post an Instagram story of the result of the men's season. But thank you everybody for tuning in, and a final goodbye here in Fort Worth.